Okay, here we are with day 8 of this vlog. Now, today is a unique day in this in these videos because today I went to Casablanca, the largest city, not capital, of Morocco. Now, I found this a very interesting experience. I've never been to a country that's, not in the first world, so to speak. Well, I've been to Fiji, but I was less than a year old, so I don't exactly remember the experience. But yeah, so let's go back to the beginning. Breakfast, nothing worthy of note. So get out, go to Casablanca. First thing to notice is that it's a huge dock with loads of what do you call them? The containers. Yeah, ship containers. That's it. So yeah, loads of ship containers, loads of giant cranes hauling them around. And, I thought that was a great thing to see. Now, this wasn't a case of the Gibraltar apes where it doesn't sound interesting and then it turns out it is. If you told me I'd be seeing a huge dock with loads of cranes and container ships, I'd have said, "Oh, that sounds like a great thing to see." So that was I guess I don't know. I didn't know I'd see it, but it's something that sounds interesting. So it's an unexpected surprise, but in the opposite sense of the Gibraltar apes. So yeah, that was great seeing. Now, this time we booked a tour like in Lisbon. Now, this tour is very interesting. I'll get to that in a moment. So we go and we get out of the ship. We go to the tour guide, who, starters, is he's Moroccan, which is to be expected. He wears what my brother called a Jedi robe. At least that's kind of what it looked like. My brother would frequently refer to him as the Jedi throughout the trip, not to his face or anything. But anyway, so the tour guide he greets us as we get onto this bus. So we get on, and he does the whole tour guide thing where he's at the front of the bus with his microphone talking about things. So we get on the bus, start driving around, and he starts talking about the city of Casablanca. I don't actually remember what he talked about at the beginning, but I probably just wasn't really listening. But anyway, the first stop on our journey is I think it's called it's a mosque. I think it's called the Grand Mosque or the Hassan II Mosque. And that was the king who built it, essentially. We're talking about a mosque that was built 30 years ago. It's not ancient or anything. So we get taken to this mosque. Now, I'd heard beforehand that this was the third biggest mosque in the world. Now, what often happens with things like this, I get told about, this is the X most thing ever. And I'm often disappointed. I expect we go I hear, the acting here is incredibly over the top, and then I watch it and I don't find it that over the top at all, and I'm disappointed. Something like that, in all kinds of fields. But in this sense, I heard biggest mosque ever, and it was as big as I expected. You say third biggest mosque in the world, it looked like the third biggest mosque in the world, especially in height. Like, it had a tower, and the tower was huge. It just shot way up, and it was very very impressive to see. Now, I mentioned before that there was something very interesting about this tour, and what's interesting about the tour is that the tour guide seemed to adopt a theme for the tour, and that theme essentially was religion. religion played a big part of this tour. I mean, that's obvious in a sense because, we're in a mosque, but he didn't just talk about, the mosque, its architecture, how it was built, that sort of thing. No, he talked about, he went into some detail about the nature of, of the religion, Islam. And he did this interesting... Do I hear footsteps? Yeah, I don't know. He did this interesting thing where he basically compared it, he made a lot of comparisons with Christianity and Judaism, the other what are called Abrahamic religions. I can kind of get what he was trying to do. Showing. I mean, obviously, this is a British cruise. Like the cruise is from a British company, so most of the people on this cruise are British, and will therefore, and so I'm guessing what the tour guide was going for was trying to, show, you see, you people, us people, we're not so different, and just kind of, trying to relate his culture to ours. He talked about the role of the religion, kind of the gender roles, what the priests do, how religion relates to the culture as a whole, that sort of thing. What I found interesting about the mosque was mostly you don't wear shoes in there. You take off your shoes. We put them in a plastic bag and carry them with us, and you're just walking on all these carpets. And I could say I approve if you're going into a I guess you're going to your weekly religious gathering or what have you, and you're there for a while. It makes sense to not wear shoes because shoes can be uncomfortable. You want to be able to do that thing with your toes where you bend them and that sort of thing. I'm doing that right now, just thinking about it. So I kind of approve of that rule of not wearing shoes. Toured the mosque, big mosque, and we were done with the mosque. And next we go on the bus and we're driving around the city. The tour guide talks a bit more about the history. Well, I wouldn't go that far. Just talking about like events. Yeah, events happening in Casablanca. One that sticks out to mind. He mentions a conference involving, Roosevelt and Churchill, the leaders of America and Britain during World War II, and how they had a meeting in Casablanca, I think, something like that. Also, he did an interesting thing where when he mentions leaders, he mentions the role, so the American President Roosevelt, and then so he mentions the role and their name. Now, he did an interesting thing. This isn't important, but it's something I found very curious. He talks about how the King of Morocco decided not to give over the Jews during the war when Morocco was a French colony and when France was occupied by the Germans. So in a sense, Morocco was under German control, albeit indirectly. And he said, he essentially said Hitler asked the Moroccan king to hand over the Jews, and then the Moroccan king said no. But what was interesting is that he didn't say Hitler by name. He just said the leader of Germany at the time. And usually it works the other way around. When you're talking, you're talking about, say, history, you'll mention a name and the role, but when it comes to Hitler, you just say Hitler because everyone knows who Hitler is, right? One of the most famous individuals in history because, he was, one of the most, terrible people. The biggest bad guy there is, the one and only Adolf Hitler. So you mention the name, but you don't say who he is because everyone knows who he is. I mean, at least everyone in Europe. And instead, he just mentions his role without mentioning his name. And I mean, this is completely an insignificant point, but still, it just caught me by surprise. It was just something that really stuck with me. I thought, why would he do? I mean, I'm guessing he didn't plan it or anything. It's just, he was just naturally talking about it. Maybe when he gives all the other tours, he does do it the other way around. He mentions Hitler by name and not his role. But I don't know. That just struck me as weird, and just whatever reason, it was something I dwelt on a bit because it was very strange. Anyway, god damn it, I'm already over 10 minutes. I hope the battery doesn't run on this thing. Anyway, we then go to a church, explore the church. Interestingly, there's kind of no side walls. It's all stained glass. I really like the stained glass. It was all kind of really big, and you could clearly see what was on it. It's not like cathedrals where the stained glass is high up and difficult to see. This was only a one-story building. This wasn't a cathedral. It was just a church. Stained glass was very obvious, and you could see a lot of things. I thought that was interesting. And after that, went to kind of a marketplace. Here's one tidbit. Apparently, at one point, my mother, my brother, and I sat down and got some drinks when my dad and my sister went off to explore the market a bit more. This isn't on tour. The tour guy's just sitting, near us at the place with the drinks. But apparently, what happens here in Casablanca is, you got to haggle with the people at the market, negotiating prices, and apparently, so you get quite vocal in conversation with the people selling you stuff. And apparently, there's one place where my dad was looking for a bag. He was looking for a bag. He comes to this one place, and the guy's trying to, sell him the bag or something. And my dad's not interested. Like, the price was too high or something like that. I don't remember the circumstances. But apparently what happened was he didn't have the heart to say no. So instead what he does is that he throws his arms in the air and yells, "Escape!" and runs out of the shop, away from the shopkeeper. So I wish I was there to see it. But, I can believe it. It does sound like something my dad would do, so I can believe it. But still, I wish I was there to see it. Oh well. But then after that, we end up getting back in the bus. The tour guide does some more talking. I think we stop at, I don't remember what this was. It was called the Palace of Justice. I don't really know what it was about. But we stopped there, and we stop at, I think it was the King's Palace or something. And he talks a bit about the king and the role he helped playing in kind of modernizing the nation. I did have to question, what is fact and what is exaggeration, because obviously I'm guessing the tour guide works for maybe the government or something like that, and has to present a positive picture of his country. I don't know. I'm curious. I might read up on it, about the King of Morocco and, recent Moroccan events, just kind of get more detail about it. But, it was interesting all the same to hear the tour guide talking about, recent changes in Morocco. But anyway, so we go back in the bus. The tour guide talks a bit more about. He was talking about how influential people have houses around here. I think he mentions the owner of Forbes. That's some magazine. They're the ones who do those lists of all the rich people. The Forbes, like 400 richest Americans or something like that. Those kinds of people. He's talking about how those kinds of people have houses in Morocco. I don't know if that was the most interesting thing to talk about, but, it's what the bus was passing along, so you may as well talk about what the bus is passing by. But yeah, we get back to the ship. The tour's over. We get back on. My dad goes back to my dad and sister go back to the markets. But I get back on the boat. I end up, I play some Crusader Kings. I do some reading. eventually have dinner. Geez, 15 minutes. Okay, I better hurry up. Do some dinner. We see a show after having dinner. Something about it seemed to be songs from musicals. So like say Lion King, that Wizard of Oz one, Wicked, I think it's called. And that was alright, I suppose. I mean, I give that I guess a 7 out of 10. I gave the experience of Morocco 8 out of 10. It was interesting. I liked it. Definitely the destination I was most interested in. And it's kind of what I expected. So yeah, that was the events of day 9. And again, I'm gonna try and finish these videos by saying the same thing. That's what professionals do, right? So again, whoever you are, thank you for watching these videos.